To the teacher who was regularly intoxicated during class this year, thank you for using yourself as an example to teach students about the dangers of alcoholism. Being escorted by police out of school left a lasting impression. I hope that future students and staff learn from these examples. Thank you, class of 2019. To my counselor, thanks for teaching me to fend for myself. You were always unavailable to my parents and I, despite appointments. Only in these past few weeks, with the award ceremonies and graduation coming up, did you begin making your appearance. And might I note, you expressed to me your joy in knowing that one of your students was valedictorian when you had absolutely no role in my achievements. To the staff in the main office, thank you for teaching me how to be resourceful. Your negligence to inform me of several scholarships until the day before they were due potentially caused me to miss out on thousands of dollars. When applying for a work permit, you repeatedly turned me away, despite confirming with my employer and parents that all my paperwork was filled correctly. I've had to escalate issues with staff to an assistant principal various times to reach any sort of solution. To the teacher who was regularly intoxicated during class this year, thank you for using yourself as an example to teach students about the dangers of alcoholism. Being escorted by police out of school left a lasting impression. I hope that future students and staff learn from these examples. Thank you, class of 2019.
You know how much I love you, right?
Yeah.
And how I always, treasure the time I have with you.
Yeah.
Now you're my world. I got my last name changed. I'm now George Grimway Musto. Look at my jersey.
At center, number 75, NowThis.
I love you so much, Dad.
Oh God, I love you.
I love you.
I'm okay. I'm okay.
My name's formerly known as George Grimwade, but now it's George Grimwade Musto. So I decided to change my last name because my stepdad, which sounds weird calling him my stepdad because he's always been my dad to me, he doesn't have anyone to carry on his last name. And he raised me ever since I was in second grade. And I feel like I owe it to him to carry on his last name when I have kids, and hopefully they can carry on that last name. And I just want his legacy to live on forever. I don't want it to end with him. So Dad, on the date of September 26, 2019, I decided to change my name from George Andrew Grimwade to George Grimwade Musto. I love you so much, and you really do mean the world to me. Without you, I don't know who I am, nor do I know where I'm at. You and Mom are the reason why I'm together, and I'm so happy that I can take on that last name with Mom and to really feel like I've become one with that family. I'm also really grateful that I get to carry on your last name for you, and I hope I treat it well. Thank you. It is hereby ordered and decreed by the court that George Andrew Grimwade be hereafter known by the name of George Grimwade Musto. It's official. Stamped and approved by the judge too.
How's it feel?
It feels amazing. I mean, I did this 4 weeks ago, about a month ago, and I just now got the papers today on October 1st, kind of panicking, but I really hope he's gonna like the presentation. You know how much I love you, right?
Yeah.
And how I always like treasure the time I have with you.
Yeah.
Now you're my world. I got my last name changed. I'm now George Grimwade Musto. Look at my jersey.
If Facebook were around in the 1930s, it would have allowed Hitler to post 30-second ads on his solution to the Jewish problem. So here's a good standard and practice. Facebook, start fact-checking political ads before you run them. Today, around the world, demagogues appeal to our worst instincts. Conspiracy theories, once confined to the fringe, are going mainstream. Hate crimes are surging, as are murderous attacks on religious and ethnic minorities. All this hate and violence is being facilitated by a handful of internet companies that amount to the greatest propaganda machine in history. I believe that it's time for a fundamental rethink of social media and how it spreads hate, conspiracies, and lies. Last month, however, Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook delivered a major speech that, not surprisingly, warned against new laws and regulations on companies like his. Well, some of these arguments are simply, pardon my French, bullshit. Let's count the ways. First, Zuckerberg tried to portray this whole issue as choices around free expression. That is ludicrous. This is not about limiting anyone's free speech. This is about giving people, including some of the most reprehensible people on earth, the biggest platform in history to reach a third of the planet. Freedom of speech is not freedom of reach. Sadly, there will always be racists, misogynists, anti-Semites, and child abusers. But I think we can all agree that we should not be giving bigots and pedophiles a free platform to amplify their views and target their victims. Second, Mark Zuckerberg claimed that new limits on what's posted on social media would be to pull back on free expression. This is utter nonsense. We're not asking these companies to determine the boundaries of free speech across society. We just want them to be responsible on their platforms. Third, Mark Zuckerberg seemed to equate regulation of companies like his to the actions of the most repressive societies. Incredible. This from one of the 6 people who decide what information so much of the world sees. Here's an idea. Instead of letting the Silicon Six decide the fate of the world, let our elected representatives, voted for by the people of every democracy in the world, have at least some say. Fourth, Zuckerberg speaks of welcoming a diversity of ideas. And last year he gave us an example. He said that he found posts denying the Holocaust deeply offensive, but he didn't think Facebook should take them down because I think there are things that different people get wrong. To quote Edward R. Murrow, one cannot accept that there are on every story 2 equal and logical sides to an argument. We have, unfortunately, millions of pieces of evidence for the Holocaust. It is an historical fact. And denying it is not some random opinion. Those who deny the Holocaust aim to encourage another one. Fifth, when discussing the difficulty of removing content, Mark Zuckerberg asked, where do you draw the line? Yes, drawing the line can be difficult. But here's what he's really saying. Removing more of these lies and conspiracies is just too expensive. The truth is, these companies won't fundamentally change because their entire business model relies on generating more engagement, and nothing generates more engagement than lies, fear, and outrage. Finally, Zuckerberg said that social media companies should live up to their responsibilities, but he's totally silent about what should happen when they don't. By now, it's pretty clear they cannot be trusted to regulate themselves. As with the Industrial Revolution, it's time for regulation and legislation to curb the greed of these high-tech robber barons. In his speech, Zuckerberg said that one of his main goals is to uphold as wide a definition of freedom of expression as possible. It sounds good. Yet our freedoms are not only an end in themselves, they're also the means to another end. As you say here in the US, the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But today these rights are threatened by hate, conspiracies, and lies. The ultimate aim of society should be to make sure that people are not targeted, not harassed, and not murdered because of who they are, where they come from, who they love, or how they pray. If we make that our aim, if we prioritize truth over lies, tolerance over prejudice, empathy over indifference, and experts over ignoramuses, then maybe, just maybe, we can stop the greatest propaganda machine in history. We can save democracy. We can still have a place for free speech and free expression. And most importantly, my jokes will still work. Thank you very much.
We put such a moral authority on people who have gone to war and been through war that you stop questioning what we're actually fighting for. It's like, thank you for your service. Why are you thanking me? I didn't do anything. I didn't help anyone. I just perpetuated a system of senseless violence.
Just like a deer. Come over. This is the shop? Yeah. Oh man, we killed the shopkeeper.
Holy shit!
Was that not the wrong building?
That's the wrong building!
I enlisted in 2008, so we had already been at war for 7 years in Afghanistan. They were kind of just letting anyone who was willing to go enlist. You had a lot of kids who were drug waivers, they had criminal records, had psychological problems. Just kind of anyone that could do like 3 pull-ups and pass an IQ test was getting let in. The majority of Americans that watch Fox News and stuff tend to sanctify the military and sort of glorify it. We can question the war itself, but we can't question the troops. And I think the movie kind of challenges that because it shows to a degree how these kids are out there making decisions, not being watched, and those decisions have kind of life and death outcomes. There's no specific mission other than you're gonna go out there and you're gonna walk around and you're gonna wait to get shot at. And it's basically like a long, really messed up camping trip, but you have guns and you're getting shot at. War is a complicated issue. You know, there's a lot of mixed feelings and mixed emotions that you experience in war. One of them is obviously boredom and trying to kind of pass the time without just losing your mind. A big part of that is smoking weed. There's just drugs everywhere. The main cash crop is opium and hashish. So the locals are always giving it to you. The Afghan army is always giving it to you.
Hey, let me get some. Let me get some.
How we do it at night though, you
Hey, can I get some?
Our cultural understanding of the locals is so limited, and you never see the enemy. I know very few guys who have actually seen someone shooting at them. So we take that mixture of fear and just total misunderstanding, and people end up dying. Innocent people end up dying a lot. I think most Americans, they're aware of how much of a waste of life and money and time that the war in Afghanistan has been, but I think they don't know fully how much of a waste it was, because there wasn't even a concept of what winning would look like. Because even if we were to completely eliminate the Taliban, you'd still have a totally ungoverned region of the country just waiting for the next regime to take over. Right now, we're finally actually negotiating with the Taliban, which probably could have been done 15 years ago. It's kind of how our foreign policy operates. We're really good at going places and just killing people, but what happens after that?
All right, terminating footage now.
أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله على الصلاة حي على الصلاة. To the people of New Zealand, thank you. Thank you for your tears. Thank you for your haka. Thank you for your love and compassion. Last Friday, I stood in this mosque and saw hatred and rage in the eyes of the terrorists. Today, from the same place, I look out and I see the love and compassion in the eyes of thousands of fellow New Zealanders.
When any part of the body suffers, the whole body feels pain. New Zealand mourns with you. We are one.
And in solidarity with the Muslim woman, we are wearing our headscarves and wearing them very proudly. Hopefully it will be a sign of support to the woman that it is right to come out into our community. They are part of our community.
If anybody else turns up waving a gun, I want to stand between him and anybody he might be pointing it at. And I don't want him to be able to tell the difference, because there is no difference.
Have shown that New Zealand is unbreakable and that the world can see in us an example of love and unity.
We're able able to feed all 5 of the babies while sitting in one spot. Lay down the pajamas on top of each other so that we could just change one baby after another. One person can feed all the babies in under 15 minutes. We got all 5 of the seats, and you can change your babies on the go. Go to the first ultrasound and it looked like the sky and the 4th of July, just all these little flickering little heartbeats all over the place. We just found out.
And we have 5 babies growing in our stomach.
How many babies is mommy having? In that moment right there, when the ultrasound shows up on the screen, every couple should be happy and thrilled about that moment and not like have their heads go exactly where our heads went, which is like, oh no, this isn't gonna end well.
I was just really, really scared, and then when they said, wait, I think there's another heartbeat, I just like burst into tears. I was sure that we were destined to have another funeral.
Alright, we just got home with the babies. Hey! Look at all those babies! We basically looked at each other and we said, we don't own this house anymore. And so we gave it all up to the kids. And we got rid of all of our furniture. I'm not joking. We got rid of our end tables, coffee table.
One of the 2 couches.
One of the couches. And we said, this is a baby room right now. We basically had to accept that it's not our house anymore. It's the kids' house. And I thought, how can I help Amy when I'm not there? And what are the challenging situations in our lives? It's hard to feed them. Diapers are a challenge because we're changing 5 diapers every hour at a minimum. What are the most challenging things for her? And then how can I make it easier for her? How do we come up with those things? It's basically, and we're doing this right now with the 2nd year, and we're still going to think of stuff because that's what we're doing. If you want to survive this game of quintuplets, then you need to look at every situation. How am I going to get through this with my sanity? Because it's awesome. I love having all of these kids. It was terrifying, but having them here happy and healthy now, this is amazing.
Can you verify me your home address?
No, I will not.
I'm sorry?
No, I'm not going to give you my address. If you have my file on me, you should know what my address is.
Miss Stephens, you need to understand one thing over here. that I'm trying to cooperate with you on the recorded line, and even you need to cooperate with me. Recent mailing address.
My current address is 205 Saunders, Saunders Street in Apex, North Carolina.
Want me to read out the complete information to you about the allegations from which you can. Now, there are legal enforcement agencies involved in this case, so before we go ahead and give out the complete information to you, I need you to verify me with the last 4-digit number of your social security so I can confirm that the details are given to the right person.
I'm not going to confirm my social security number with you.
Ms. Stephens, I'm not asking you to confirm your social security number. What I'm asking you just to verify me with the last 4 digits of your social security so I can confirm that the details are given to the right person.
I'm not going to do that.
Social Security Administration and law enforcement agencies has found 25 fraudulent bank accounts opened and used fraudulently using your social security number to commit a fraud of more than $10 million. This account were used to transfer and receive funds for illegal local and international bank wire transfer include like money laundering, drug trafficking, and for internal revenue service tax scams all over USA. I need to give them the details. So can you just tell me how many bank accounts do you own as per your knowledge and information?
I would like to just speak to your supervisor now, please.
And you told my officer that you want to speak to a senior officer, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, now go ahead and let me know how many bank accounts are originally owned by you, which has nothing to do with the illegal activities.
Well, if it has nothing to do with illegal activities, why do I have to give you tell you how many bank accounts I have?
See, if you do not tell me how many bank accounts you have, we'll go ahead and suspend all the bank accounts which are connected to your social security. Do not blame us if you lose any money. We are trying to help you out over here, okay?
Well, I just don't understand how giving you I would like to know what the allegations are against me and what you're going to take out a warrant for.
Right now, there are 2 criminal charges against you. Number 1, drug trafficking. And number 2, money laundering. Okay?
Well, that's better than the 25 the first guy told me were out against me. And they've hung up on me.